Namaste, Jai Bharat. One of the recent psychological, very recent actually, theory is a Dunning-Kruger effect. That you think what you really not, or you're convinced that you're something, but then you're really not that. That's what roughly can be spoken, said about the Dunning-Kruger effect in plain language. But then, this of course is purely a psychological approach. But then we find the traces of it way back in 14th century, if I'm right, 14th century. Henrik Ibsen, playwright, one of his play, very popular, should have been popular at least at this, is Wild Duck. The hero of Wild Duck continuously believed himself to be something which he never was, and he never knew that he is not that, and he died without knowing his truth actualities. Now, why I say this about Dunning-Kruger effect and also Henrik Ibsen is Trump reminds me of all these things. He's so convinced that he is this. He's so convinced that he has stopped many wars, seven as per his count if I'm right. And he's also so convinced he must deserve a Nobel Prize for Peace, and he has a series of convictions. This is a kind of hallucination, as a matter of fact. What you really are is not realized by you, and what you project to be, you assume to be that you really are. This is a fundamental contradiction between the actual and the thought process, ideal in his perspective. So the Nobel Peace Prize, he was desperately sure that he deserves it because, according to his criteria, quite a few things he did which makes him uh, really deserving Nobel Peace Prize. But then uh, I don't know what to speak of. But then it did not go to him. Ah, it did not go to him. Uh, Actually, I also anyone who understands this might not be in favor of him getting a Nobel Prize, because this whole thing becomes very artifact kind of thing if he is given Nobel Prize. Now, it loses spontaneity, it loses genuineness, and when something in nature loses naturality, that becomes a synthetic anachronism, synthetic anachronism of idiosyncrasy. What more one can speak about it? So it went to a Venezuelan lady who who fought against authoritarianism uh, for maybe people's participation, etc. Now, Venezuela is a nation destroyed by communists. I would not say destroyed by Marx, because Marxists never wanted this kind of things to happen to people. What he wanted was good society, something very close to welfare state, the idea of welfare state. So I'm sure Marx never wanted this, but then his uh, his method of understanding or procedure towards or the methodology towards a happy state was absolutely erroneous, based on unrealistic postulates, etc. That's what makes communism uh, flop, failure, not very practicable, in spite of Antonio Gramsci's firm conviction that it is philosophy of practice. He uses the word praxis, philosophy of praxis. Anyway, this has misled many people in the world. Still, many people in the world are getting misled by such ideas about Marxism, post Marxian thinking, communism as an ideal situation, which really has theoretical contradictions, and the theory is not based. Theory is not resting on any kind of firm postulates except fantasies. Fantasies are far from being real. So, this lady must have really deserved to win a Nobel Prize, and that would mean a lot to her because it's a great recognition, at least in principle. Because though it really is jarring to see the kind of people getting Nobel Prize for various other things, and then you're falling into that category. There's always someone who really deserves it, and there are people who gets into it by techniques and methods of getting into this. So these two stands poles apart, and then one really bugs or is repugnant to see some people just encroaching into the Nobel Prize gallery. Anyway, so Trump must be greatly disappointed. He will be disappointed because he lives in anticipation. He lived in anticipation. Possibly, uh, he was confident that he will get it, and he did a lot of things for that. Not, not in that sense, but this is a plotting to get it, managing it. Now, this kind of managing is not appropriate in a world where honesty must be paid and honesty must be respected. Honesty, integrity, straightforwardness must be respected. They are values for not just for human beings but also for society. We shall meet again. This is okay. This is a good thing. Good thing that the Nobel Prize had not gone to somebody who was managing it or trying desperately to manage it, building his empire on lies and deceits. We shall meet again. Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Sri Ram.